Father Marcelo Perez looks more like a freedom fighter than a Catholic priest. He's one of a movement of clergy in the South Mexican state of Chiapas who say their place is outside of the church and with the forgotten and desperate.
Venimos a solidarizarnos con ustedes. Yo sé que es difícil lo que viven y a veces realmente no podemos encontrar palabras para animarlos o ayudarlos también, pero quisiéramos ayudarlos y a ver qué podemos hacer para seguir caminando juntos.
Now Pope Francis is visiting Chiapas, drawing attention to the 3/4 of its mostly indigenous population who live in poverty, and to priests like Marcelo, rebelling against a conservative Catholic hierarchy, and local politicians who often act more as feudal lords.
La corrupción ha empobrecido.
Corruption has impoverished the population and also generated a whole lot of violence, and because we're exposing that, they want to kill me and they've put a price on my life. First it was 100,000 pesos and finally 1,000,000 pesos.
He doesn't leave the church now without his volunteer bodyguards, but conflict with the authorities is nothing new here. In 1994, an army of indigenous farmers called Zapatistas rose up in Chiapas, rejecting the state and creating their own autonomous area. The government responded, pouring in troops and money to pacify indigenous communities. But human rights groups say they're rarely consulted before it's spent. A good example are these houses. Authorities built thousands of them for indigenous people, but they lack services and the land for crops and to keep animals, so virtually no one moved in. Investment is also focused on mega projects to exploit the state's natural resources.
The government is working with the sector that wants to open areas for extraction, for control, not for the poor. In that way, the Pope's visit comes to give hope to those below and to say that those above don't always win.
That's a message that priests like Marcelo have been preaching for years. Now they have the top man on their side. John Holman, Al Jazeera, Chiapas.